ahead and get started here. Today is Friday, March 29th, 2024. I'm John Lee with St. Louis Real Estate Investors Association, and welcome to our Friday networking. And a lot of things going on, and it's our first quarter coming up. So, are all your goals accomplished that you had for the first quarter of the year? If not, you only got a couple more days to get those in and finish up. And then we got, actually, it's hard to believe that 25% of the year is over already. But here we are. So we got just a couple things coming up. We got the St. Louis Real Estate Investors Association breakfast at Applebee's on the lunch. I'm sorry, what did I say? Breakfast. I'm sorry. I'm still in the breakfast mode here. But lunch coming up at Applebee's on the April 1st. And then we've got our main event this month. We have April 16th at the Moolah Shrine Center. We do have Troy Galloway, and that's going to be really, really good. Troy is a expert witness for contractors, whether they're being sued or suing, both ways. But he's been in the business for 48 years, and he's got a lot of insights. He's actually going to show us how to, if you have any disputes or to avoid any disputes, I think is the main focus we're going to have. Then in May, on May 21st, we've got Jason Schroer, who is a St. Louis County housing inspector, and he was a firefighter for 7 years, so he's got a lot of good insights on what to do, why they do what they do, what they look for, and not that they just want to be mean guys and be picky. And it's not all about money, is what he assured me. So I know they have their job to do, but safety is a big concern. That is for all of us, because we, a lot of us that do have properties that we rent and we sell, we don't want to have any problems with the inspectors. So he's going to give us a lot of insights for that. And that's really about all I think I have. No, Lloyd, you're not feeling real well, but if you want to add anything, feel free to do so. Otherwise, I guess we can get started. Go ahead and have Laura come on and do her disclaimer here. So, Laura.
Yep. Good morning and welcome, everyone. First, I'd like to do a bit of housekeeping. Feel free to unmute yourself when it's your turn to speak. Please be mindful of everyone else by muting yourself while others are speaking. You're welcome to put any contact information that you want to share into the chat. We meet here to share deals, look for deals and solutions we have and need with our real estate. We are not your financial advisors, attorney, or accountants. We do not endorse or recommend any specific solution or contractors here. You're advised to do your own due diligence to your own satisfaction before you invest. The first Friday of each month is Ask the Attorney with Ms. Catherine Davis. Our meetings are typically recorded, so only share what you want others to know.
There we go. Thank you, Laura. All right, just see a lot of smiling faces out there. Does anybody have anything they want to, I guess we can start off with anything they want to sell. Anybody have any properties that they have available to sell this week? No? Okay, how about buy? Anybody looking for anything? I think a lot of us are always looking for something.
John, I guess I kind of have a buy target.
Yeah, sure, David.
Put this in Facebook groups occasionally on here, so I will pay you or whoever has something, I will pay you $2,000 at closing for your dead short sale lead. So this applies to wholesalers, usually, where they're trying to wholesale. And so they get a house under contract and they're going to sell that contract to somebody else and like get an assignment fee, and they like to, get in and out. They don't actually know how to how to do a short sale with a homeowner. And so they can't make an offer or get a contract because they would have to pay off that whole loan. So instead of you losing that deal, I will pay you $2,000 at closing when I buy that house, just for giving me that dead short sale lead. Now, it's got to be, where you talk to the person, you're going to tell them about me, who I am, that I can step in and help them, that type of thing. It can't just be like some, phone number, but somebody you were trying to do a deal with and it fell apart because you didn't know how to do a short sale. you can get $2,000 out of that at closing just by, selling that to me, and done that with quite a few people, John, here in St. Louis. And it's really funny. One of them was the Torianne house that I bought for $29,600 and sold her for $275. And so after that person got their $2,000, they go, I think I ought to learn how to do short sales, because they sold it for 2,000, and they were like, I think that I would have been better off if I had learned how to do short sales and done it myself. But nonetheless, so if you don't want to, help the family out, you don't want to stop that foreclosure date, please send that to me. And I'll give you my phone number for those that are listening, 636-685-2990, 636-685-2990. $2,000 at closing for your dead short sale lead.
Thank you, David. I know that's one of the best skills you can learn out there is finding deals. So, and I know short sales is a good way because there's a lot of people that don't know what to do. So thanks for bringing that up. I see David Soto there. How's your campaign going? Isn't that coming up real soon here as far as our election goes?
That's not till August. It's not, the municipal elections are coming up next week, but primary is in August. Filing is closed. There's only 2 of us, so that's the good thing.
Oh, okay. Okay. I was, for some reason, I had in my mind April.
No, that'd be municipal elections. So city council, aldermen, hospital boards, things like that.
Oh, okay. Well, that's great.
So you can see this up here.
Yeah, Zoom, you gotta.
Yeah, for a while. So
that's great. That's great. Thank you. And I see Stacy, who's with you up there, and and I don't know which side she's looking at. And if you'd like to tell us about your management company, feel free to do so. So I know you guys helped a lot of people in our area and in the areas you cover. So if you'd like to say a couple words, go ahead.
Yeah, absolutely. Hey everyone, Stacy Lowe. I'm with Dave at Soto Property Solutions. We are a full service real estate brokerage, but our specialty is property management. So if you have any investment properties and you need help overseeing it, we would be glad to help. We do everything for you from start to finish. So you can just sit back and collect the money every month, and you don't have to deal with the tenants or the vendors or the maintenance or your accounting. We handle it all for you. So if you have any investment properties, give me a call or email and we can discuss everything. My phone number, my office number is 636-305-3380. I am extension 311, and my email is Stacy, STACY at SOTOPS.com. And I'll also put all of that in the chat. Thank you.
Thank you very much. All right. Anybody else have anything you'd like to share with us today? Now we're coming up on a holiday weekend, and I know a lot of people are traveling. We're actually in North Carolina as we speak. We came out here, and it's a lot different out here than it is in our area, because we're out here looking at talking to people about a bookstore and a couple of things, and they don't have quite the vacancies that with the commercial properties we have. In this particular area, we're actually in Banner Elk, but Boone, which is not far, where the Appalachian, one of the universities is. Actually, there's 2 or 3 of them around here, but they're building left and right. It's just amazing. The trucks are just almost nonstop, the construction trucks here. And I'm not used to seeing quite like that. But we were kind of talking to Lloyd before we got started here, and I personally haven't been here in like 17 years, and the houses out here, the ones, some of the mountains, the nice ones, are around 300-something thousand. Those same houses today are $3 million, so, or more. So the property has gone up quite a bit in this area. And we're not skiers. They do have a couple ski mountains out here, and I know that attracts a lot of the people out here. So anyway, so we're having a business trip that's also a vacation. I think we're going to walk on the swinging bridge today, which is like 1,000,000 miles up on top of the mountain. So it looks, yeah, maybe a mile. Okay, so it looks like might as well be 1,000,000. Yeah. So. So anyway, if we don't come back next week, you'll know that maybe it was a million. I don't know. No, we don't anticipate any problems because there's thousands of people that go over it every month. So we're good. Anybody else have anything they'd like to share with us today?
I have a question. I don't
Sure.
know if really considered sharing, but I just need some input. One of my rental properties, the neighbor's tree, which was about 30 feet tall, fell into my yard. Broke my fence and I had to have it removed. They don't appear to have insurance. So I was just wondering if anyone has ever experienced that or has some knowledge on how I should go about handling that. I did file a claim with my insurance and they gave me a small little check, this tiny little check. And I have had to come out of pocket of almost $1,000 of my own. So do I have any options to, or how should I handle that? Does anyone have suggestions?
That's a great question. I've had that happen on both sides. What municipality are you in there, Linda?
The property is in Hanley Hills.
Hanley Hills. Okay. I had one, I'll tell you, I've had experience in Ferguson and in Hazelwood. The one in Ferguson, exactly what happened, what you're saying, the neighbor's tree fell on it. I talked to him a couple times. He talked about getting it straightened out. I did not want to file a claim with my insurance. He never did it. Then I couldn't get a hold of him. When I was at City Hall for something else, I asked them about that, and they told me it was an act of God. Okay, that we both have our own. We have to deal with our own insurance companies. Okay, and whatever happens, happens. Okay, so here's what I ended up doing. I ended up getting back in touch with him in this particular one. He came out and said he was going to start cleaning up, but what he did is he cut it in 7 or 8 foot sections, and it was a big tree. I mean, this thing is like 150 years old, ruined my fence. The fence we kind of just pieced back together. Okay, and the city fortunately never gave me trouble about it. They could have, because sometimes they do on that kind of stuff. I couldn't get rid of it. He never followed up and he just left it. So what I did is I put an ad in Craigslist, free firewood. It took about 5 or 6 weeks, but I found somebody that come out and he hauled all the wood away because I had a couple estimates and they wanted like $700 or $800 to get it out of there. Okay, now in Hazelwood, what happened to me is one of my trees fell across on the neighbor's carport, wiped it out and wiped out the tree. Their insurance company, State Farm, got a hold of me. I followed up the same way that Ferguson told me. I said it was an act of God and I will clean up my side and my fence. Never heard another word from them. So that's what my story was. My insurance broker kind of told me the same thing. It's kind of like if you can, because before when I had a place in Florissant, my tree fell on the neighbor's stuff. I fixed his fence. I got it all hauled out of there. I thought it was my responsibility. I found out in reality, it probably is not. So probably what you had happen is an act of God and whatever, unless somebody purposely did it. If they were over there cutting the tree, that's another story. But if it came over like in a storm, stuff like that, you're going to just be out of pocket for whatever it cost you. Most of the time, now you said the insurance company gave you a small check.
Yes.
It was a similar situation when I was running into, and I have found over the years, in fact, I've eaten a lot of claims, and if it's not more than $5,000, I usually don't even file it because it goes against you. We just got insurance on the place we're building, my wife Laura and I, and it actually is costing us $600 more a year than what he originally quoted me because we had a claim with a fire that was not our fault less than 3 years ago. So when you file claims, the only thing I could say is just be wise about it. Make sure it's worth your while because you'll get the same strike against you for a $300 claim as you will for a $300,000 claim.
Right. Okay. Well, thank you. This really was not an act of God. It was not raining or storming. The tree was old. You could see signs of deterioration in the tree. In fact, the year before, I had an arborist come to my property because I have a tree that appeared to be leaning, but he said the tree was secure. As he's standing in my yard looking at my tree, he looks over next door and he says, now, if your tree looked like that one, I would be worried because that tree definitely has some damage. He mentioned termites. And then when the tree fell and I had the guy come to cut it up, you could easily see the tree had extensive damage and it should have been taken down a long time ago, but so, all right, so basically I'm out of luck.
Maybe you can go to small claims court. Okay, it doesn't cost an attorney and you might feel better.
I thought about that. The only thing is, the neighbor has a very vindictive and nasty daughter. So I don't want her to cause my tenant any issues. So, I think I'm gonna have to do like John said, I'm just gonna have to, eat it. I will at least add it to my taxes and claim it, and that will ease the sting a little bit, but it's just been really, because I called, and they hung up in my face. I called to tell them, first of all, that I was calling Ameren because it appeared the tree had knocked down the electrical wires. And then I'm just being helpful. I'm calling Ameren. I'm just giving a heads up. And she hung up in my face. And then when I called my insurance adjuster, he said, well, call and talk to her. I said, well, I did. And she hung up in my face. Try again. I did. She hung up again. So I don't think they have insurance. That's the problem.
Well, David had a good point. You could probably sue them in small claims court because it sounds like from the kind of people they are, they won't show up and you would get the judgment just based on them
Right.
not showing up. Now, the problem would be collecting it. And the other
Yeah.
problem is you're going to cause some more friction between them. If they're going to, if
Right.
you're keeping this house, you're going to have to deal with them. The thing
Exactly.
is, if they do show up, they'll, it could still be an act of God. God might have gave the termites some food. I mean, it doesn't have to be a storm. It could be, there's a lot of things, and unless they purposely were working on something, you're probably,
Yeah.
you're probably just stuck with it. And
Okay.
those are tough ones. In fact,
Yeah.
we had a house because of the things that I'm telling you about that we went through that I chose not to buy. It was over there in Calverton Park, pretty close in that, that little area there.
Right.
And they, but the tree, I mean, the house, this is back a few years ago, was only like $19,000 and it was probably an $80,000 house. But it had these big, huge, massive trees in the back. There was like 5 or 6 of them. Just looking, I chose to walk away from that. And then since then, a few years ago, one of them trees did fall across and wipe the garage out. So that I just happened to be by and seen. So, I mean, trees are a big consideration when you
Yeah, you're right.
let us know what happens. I'm always curious to see what other people's experiences are. I don't know
All right.
Hanley Hills, but the municipalities all beat to their own, the sound of their own drummer. So who knows?
Yeah. All right. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Sure. Yeah. Thanks for the question. I love questions too, because we can all learn from stuff that happens. Because you never know,
Yes,
you don't know till it happens.
that's right.
Mm-hmm. By the way, what insurance cover you have? Just out of curiosity.
American Family.
Okay. All right. Yeah. Yeah. They all pretty much deal with about the same kind of stuff. I was just curious though. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Mm-hmm. All right. Well, that's always good to find out about trees. They can be our friends or not. All right. Anybody else got anything they'd like to share with us today? No. I see Laura joined us up there. Looks like you're driving. Laura Linnington.
Hey, I'm actually a passenger today, so
Oh.
and we're parked also.
Oh, good.
Yeah. Hey, everybody. Yeah, I'm out and about looking at properties today and looked at 2 already, and I'm waiting for a seller at a 3rd here. So since I was waiting on the seller who's running behind, I thought I'd jump on the call.
Well, great. Glad you joined us. Good to see
Yeah,
you.
thanks. Yeah, thanks. Yeah, I'm just catching up with what everybody's got going on, but I'll just give a quick spiel. For those who don't know me, I'm Laura. I work on the Illinois and the Missouri side of the river. I'm a licensed agent in both states, but I don't typically do the normal agent thing. I'm an investor. And if anybody on here owns a property that they don't want to own anymore, feel free to reach out to me. I'd love to help you either as a buyer, as someone who can connect you to a buyer, or someone who can connect you to somebody else. Like a good agent, because I don't consider myself a good agent because I don't do it. But anyway, my phone number, if anybody wants to ever call and talk real estate about anything they own, my number is 719-648-8365. Of course, I'll put it in the chat as well. And you can also email me anytime, reach out. My email is my name. It's Laura, Laura, .c.Lennington, LENINGTON @gmail.com.
Thank you, Laura. And I would say
Yeah.
you are a good agent because you don't focus solely on commission. You focus on getting the deal done the right
Yeah,
way.
I
I would-
typically help people best by working off market. I mean, it's not like I never do anything on market. But yeah, I typically am working on the types of things that don't have a straightforward answer all the time. And yeah, and I'm not focused on commission. That's for sure. That's a perfect sentence to say. So, yeah, but if anybody ever wants to talk through anything, whether I have an answer or I know someone else who might have an answer, I'd be happy to help.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Laura. And let's see. Oh, it looks like Dennis had a question about a tree. Can you unmute yourself, Dennis? You want to ask us that question? Difference, the tree's dead. I would say it wouldn't make any difference, but you could check with your insurance company.
I don't think it does because my agent, he never asked me, is the tree dead or is the tree alive? So I did tell him that the tree was not a healthy tree, but he didn't seem to care about that.
That's kind of my experience too. So, trees are trees and just beware. Yeah. Now, what did you end up doing with the wood? Linda, did you have it hauled off or?
Yes, I had it hauled away. It was too much to try to dispose of or even offer for firewood. The tree, like I said, it was not only was it tall, but the circumference of the trunk was huge. Huge.
What kind
Yeah.
was it? What do you recall?
You know, the trimmer that cut it, he told me, but I forgot because I didn't write it down. I really wasn't interested. But
Yeah.
he did mention what kind it was, so. Yeah, I haven't even cashed my tiny little check yet, so. Because I'm waiting for the weather to get a little warmer so they can repair the fence, so.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I wish you well with that. Those are
Thank
never
you.
fun
Appreciate
situations,
it.
and you can't plan for that one.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Anybody else have anything they'd like to share? A lot of smiling faces. I know we're coming up on the holiday weekend here, which is, like I said, if you celebrate Easter, happy Easter. If not, happy weekend. We are going to have a good weekend. And the end of the first quarter is coming up too. 25% of the year is over. I think I mentioned that. So if you don't have 25% of your goals done, you got a couple more days.
Hey, John.
Yes.
While people are thinking of things to not be bashful about and to unmute and share with the group, I just found out something in a mastermind this past weekend that I thought I'd bring up that I thought was real interesting, and it came from attorneys. panel of attorneys, so it's probably true. But the details, you know, are always in the devil's in the details. But just in this past March, just this month, the IRS passed some kind of regulation or definition or guideline that now reclassifies independent contractors. So while we have state law that determines that, apparently the IRS overrides state law. So I had paid an attorney to go to Missouri and write my independent contractor agreement with everything that the Missouri state said was needed. And we just reversed it and just said, you are all these things, you know, sign here and you're independent. Well, IRS has come out with this new classification that you are a W-2 employee unless you're getting a 1099 from more than one person. So in other words, you can't really pay, your person, that's part-time, or your bookkeeper. Let's say your bookkeeper does your books, 20 hours a week or whatever it is. You give them a 1099 because you don't want them to be a W-2 employee necessarily. Well, if that bookkeeper doesn't do bookkeeping for somebody else to get a 1099, the new definition of independent contractor is that they have to get multiple 1099s on it. So I thought I'd just bring that up here for people for information, and to be aware of that, because the IRS can get pretty serious about this stuff, and that's something that just was released in March of this year. Did you hear about anything like that, or anybody hear about that?
I did.
You did? Mhm.
Yeah, so this is a result of a bill that came out of California, where they're trying to eliminate all of the 1099 workers. It started back with Uber drivers, that they were complaining that they were working hard and not getting any benefits, and so the state decided that we're going to change this and make them have to be employees, and that Uber's going to have to treat them as employees and give them benefits. Well, believe it or not, when they got this bill going through, Uber had enough lobbying power to get them exempted, and there's a number that get them exempted. But in California, if you perform a function that the company can itself do, for example, trucking companies, they used to be able to, they hire their own drivers, or they may contract out the driver. They can no longer do that. The driver, they have to hire all drivers. So independent contractors cannot work for other trucking companies. So then, so at the federal level, they had the PRO Act, which has failed. It's not getting anywhere. There's no water. There's nothing. It's not going to float. Not going to go anywhere. So the Biden administration decided, okay, so the Congress is not going to pass this, so we're just going to do it a different way, and that's exactly what they're trying to do. So that they're also trying to change the rate where 1099 people, you have to report anything that you pay over $300, trying to raise that, but that's not going anywhere, unfortunately. And since the Biden administration can't get this PRO Act passed, they are going around it by implementing this new law that took effect on the 15th.
Yeah,
so
so
that's the first I heard of that you have to do 1099 for multiple people.
yeah.
So that's at least a break. So if that's true, that's great, because that's at least a break. But that's not how I heard it. But that'd be a lot better than what I heard.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think there's probably more to it. That was just the major piece that would affect a lot of us. So the example is, we rehab houses, and we have a plumber that does the plumbing in the house. That's perfectly fine. We've always known them to be an independent contractor. Well, if it turns out that he's like a retired plumber and he only worked for you, or quote, he only actually got a 1099, here's the bigger problem. If he actually only got a 1099 from you, then he would be considered an employee with it. Now, in the real world, where this is going to come in for some of us that have bookkeepers and office assistants and stuff. While we, had them part-time, and we kind of even told them they could work their own hours and general stuff like that, they're kind of really going to get cracked down and become, the W-2, employee. But the point is that it's if you don't know it, and you keep doing what you're doing as a 1099. This happened to my sister-in-law. She was a hairdresser in Warrenton, Missouri, in a shop, and they were always 1099 hairdressers.
Right.
Well, the shop owner was taken to IRS court, audited, and the IRS said, no, wait a minute, all these 10 hairdressers that are in here are employees. They are not 1099. So that's fine and good, but here's the penalty. Here's what happened. For the past 3 years, the shop owner had to pay all the FICA taxes for all those people for 3 years. Okay, that's fine, well and good. Okay, well, not only that, they didn't let the 10 people get back the FICA taxes they paid. So the IRS double dipped. So that all these independent contractors did what they were supposed to for 3 years, paid their both halves of the FICA taxes, paid it in, and then IRS retroactively makes that shop owner pay all 3 years of the 7.5% of the FICA taxes for all those people on it. And that's just a big money grab by the IRS on it. And so if you're not aware of this new change, then you could get audited in 3 years from now and be on the hook for all this. That's kind of what I think is going on, and people need to be aware of. So for me, I'm kind of blessed in a way. I've got a lot of companies, and so and so I'm going to make sure that whoever works for me is going to get a 1099 from my one company and a 1099 from my other company. So they got two 1099s on it. Anyway, rabbit trail there.
It's more complicated all the time, it seems like. They just keep changing the regulations to make us do more. All right. Anybody else got anything you'd like to share today? A lot of good conversations. Anybody working on anything they got a question on or anything? There's a lot of people that have a lot of experience here. Or is everybody ready for their holiday or the weekend, I guess?
Well, John, I would just kind of say kudos to one of my students in Chattanooga. Just last month, a couple of weeks ago, sold his short sale house. For this is his numbers, not mine. $98,000 profit on a $280,000 house. So like I've said for a while now, banks are dumping the houses, and he did one in Chattanooga, his very first short sale that he did, and made $98,000 on it.
Yeah, Tennessee is one of those states that's still growing pretty good, it looks like. I know that was one that in the top 10 that Brad Sumrock, the apartment king, that was talking about within the last couple of weeks. He spoke at our group a couple of weeks ago, or the last main event, and I don't know if you caught him a couple of weeks ago when he did the top 10 markets, and I know Tennessee came in with one of those, and I know a lot of people doing a lot of business down there. It's still a good area.
John, this is Chuck.
Yeah, hey Chuck.
We're just going to bring up something that's in the works with one client, and people don't know about that much, and that is like the one lender I'm working with. They will finance house rehabs within an IRA. So that is something I thought I would just bring up in case nobody's thought about doing that.
Yeah, thanks, Charles. I know, Equity Trust has talked about that a few times. I know they've talked to our group. I don't know, some of you might have seen, Vina was on last night. They had a special presentation, and she's really good with creative deals out of IRAs. And I don't know if they'll have a replay. They probably will have a replay on that, but I love the creative things. Just sometimes they get pretty complicated when you involve more partners. I know she talked about the one deal that they did a pure option where she took, I think it was $10,000 out of hers. Somebody else took $15,000 out of theirs. because somebody couldn't finance the property's rehab. And because that's exactly what they did, is they took the money out of their IRAs and loaned it to her. And then they turned that into a pure option that they could exercise within 10 years. And as it turned out, the way the property value, that was in 2020, and the property values went up tremendously in certain parts of Ohio, and hers are one of them, and she wanted to buy herself out of it. So they ended up paying back, it was, I believe it was 31,000 and some change, maybe 31.5 on her original 25,000 with just a couple of years. So there's a lot of creative things you can do. IRAs are a great way to do it. Self-directed. I know we have one that we haven't done much with, but it's a great way to do it. So and Charles, do you want to I know you guys you broker some money, if I remember right. Do you want to tell us a little bit about that or give your contact information there?
Yeah, I put it on the chat, Lakeview Investment Strategies. The phone number's right there. 815-324-2133. Lakeview Investment Strategies. Investment Strategies.com is my landing page, where you can fill out some information and I get it forward to me, and there is some help things on that landing site just for references. It's getting to be more of a deal with the private money lending because of the pre-foreclosures and stuff that's not good enough for the banks to handle for somebody to pick up. So that's what it's about.
Thank you. All right. What anybody else have anything they'd like to share with us today? Oh, we hope Lloyd's feeling better up there. I see he's got his picture there, but he's got a little thing come up this morning. He wasn't feeling so good, so I don't know. He's at least with us in spirit here and picture. So we wish him well, and hopefully he'll feel better. Well, nobody else has anything. I see everybody's still smiling, so everybody's ready for their weekend. And wish everybody well. And we got the lunch coming up at Applebee's. I said breakfast earlier, but even though we already had lunch, we're out here in the Eastern time zone, and so we got an hour on all you guys. It's always fun coming out this way because you feel like you lose an hour coming out, but then you gain one coming back. So I feel like I got a lot of extra time. Not quite like the West Coast though. I go out there, I love leaving in the morning. It feels like I get there before breakfast, but then when I come home, it feels like I lost a day, traveling back from like Los Angeles or somewhere out there. So the East Coast though is a little more closer to us. So I like we're not really on the coast. We're barely in the western part of North Carolina. So getting ready to go check out that swinging bridge this afternoon. So hopefully our lunch will be settled. So like I said, if you don't hear from us, you'll know what happened. But I don't think they lost anybody yet, so we'll probably be okay. It's the first day we could actually see the mountain. Our place we're staying is right across from Grandfather Mountain, which is the highest elevation in the Appalachians right here. And I never heard of it until I got some timeshares here many, many years ago. And it was one of those deals where I was getting free properties and somebody had some timeshares. And I thought I was going to make that into a business. And then 2007, 2008 hit, and the timeshares were like a lot of other things, went way down in value. And you still had all your maintenance fees every year. So that's a business I chose to exit. But it's still a beautiful place to go. Who doesn't like going on vacation, especially tax deductible vacations? And actually, you should make all your vacations tax deductible as far as I'm concerned. Everything is business related. Even if you don't think you're going to go in there for business, do some market research. Go look at some places for sale and check with your accountant. But a lot of times you can write off a percentage of your trip just on that. I learned that many years ago. Grab a couple of magazines, realtor magazines. They got them on almost every place you go, and then just go stop in and talk to them. Go look at a couple properties, see what they got for sale. Just look at the area, and that's considered market research. I know one of the things I did for many years was over the holidays, usually the end of the year, and for sometimes several weeks and a couple months at a time, my company would require me to go down and to have my annual board meeting down in Florida. Well, I was the only one in the company, but that didn't matter as far as the rules go. We had our meeting right there on the beach every year. So in fact, we had several of them. And what I used to do, you don't have to do this so much anymore because we don't use them a lot, but I used to bring my printer down there and all my deeds for my properties I was buying and so on, and all that stuff I'd set up right there in the condo, set up my little office. And it was, you know, and it's kind of the way we still do it. According to our accountant, the way we set that up is pretty much every trip we go on is 75% business and 25% personal. And that seemed to be the number for us that worked real well, where there wasn't going to be a lot of red flags drawn with the IRS. You know, that was all consistent on what we did with everywhere we went. And I always do try to make it a business trip too. But check with your accountant. Don't listen to me for anything. I'm just on vacation. Well, anybody else have anything they'd like to share today? I know we got a good conversations. Everybody's kind of quiet, so I guess we could call it a day if you'd like to do that. Any last minute word anybody like to say? No? Okay, well, watch out for the neighbor trees. I guess that's the best advice I can give you. And just be aware, because that is a good thing to bring up. I'm glad you said that, Yolanda, because that does, you know, that is something you don't think about it until it happens. You know,
Yeah.
we know what we don't
Yeah.
know. You know,
Oh,
Right.
and John, I would probably just add too, you know, I love talking about entities. You heard me say I paid an attorney to take the Missouri ICA rules and write into a if anybody on here wants to talk about that kind of stuff, feel, you know, questions, because I got questions too, you know, and brainstorm, feel free to contact me, you know, anytime. I love, you know, sharing what I know about entities and you know, insurance and liabilities and stuff like that. Because I've got multiple entities and IRAs and 401ks. So, you know, feel free to contact me at 636-685-2990 if anybody on here wants to talk more about this 1099 you know, independent contractor stuff. You know, just feel free to contact me anytime.
thank you, David. All right, anybody else have anything you'd like to share? Or
Hey,
Oh.
John, yeah,
Yes.
can you, real quickly, can you tell, how did you get rid of your timeshare?
How did I get rid of it? Okay, that's you got to be creative. What I did is a couple of them I gave away, and a couple of them I sold really inexpensively with other things. I noticed on the bulletin board, in fact, I'm looking at some other things while we're here. I noticed on the bulletin board down there when we checked in, there are a lot of people right now that have them for sale really expensively, are for $1, and some of them are free. You know, I've thought, I don't want to get too deep into some creative things I'm thinking of, Ian, but I know that those ones that you know, there's people that you know, they put them advertisements out, and you know, that they'll take over your timeshares and stuff. Typically the ones I'm familiar with, though, they wanted like $3,000 or up to $5,000 to take it from you like that. One of the things we were looking at doing, you know, I don't have any of them right now. I mean, you know, that fortunately, I had 5 of them back at the time, because I was going to make a side business out of that, and they just got to be too. Well, your maintenance fees come there every year, and you don't know how much they're going to be from year to year.
Oh,
And they
yeah.
do, and you can trade them like this. The ones we had like out here were in, I think it's VRI, it's called. And one of the things we did, Ann, is we would trade them every year. It was $75 to exchange it for somewhere else within the system. So we did do that. You know, and sometimes you had to pay a little bit more if you wanted to like upgrade to a 2-bedroom condo instead of a 1-bedroom, things like that. So that's a good thing to do. I liked it because it was a mandatory vacation for me. It made me come out here every year. Okay. The bad thing about it is if you don't come out here, you're still paying the maintenance fees. And the way a lot of the traveling is it's less money to get a package deal. I know when my mom and dad and my sisters went to Florida, she had some of them similar to what we had with VRI. And it was actually less money to buy a package deal that they had, which was 2 blocks away from where the condos were, that were in our group. But it was about $600 or $700 less money, I think, because they included airfare. And that's one of the things with the timeshares you have to do, Ann, as you know. But the other thing we were looking at doing is you could actually donate them to certain organizations, maybe to charities and things like that. Then they can raffle them off. You'll get the tax deduction because you got to spend the money anyway. But but you're still spending the money. So
Yeah, I know we're running out of time, so we can talk a little bit about it, further. Yeah, we just got this huge this maintenance fee that we want to, just get rid of it. So yeah, we can talk about it later.
yeah, you
Thanks,
can
John.
use sharing and all kinds of stuff. You have to get pretty creative though, Ann, because it's one of those things where they're lifetime contracts. Very few
Right.
are not. My parents had one in the Bahamas, which was a 20-year contract, and then they ran out. Okay, but that was a little bit different setup. Here, they're pretty much forever.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
Yeah, I'd be happy to talk to you more about that another time. I mean, we've got some more creative ideas with some of them, and I took some information while we're here. Again, more market research that I'm going to do when we get home. But yeah, there's so many of them out there, and here's what happens, and what I've seen too with the timeshares. It's the same way as the building and camping lots or recreation properties that I've gotten for free for many years. For back taxes, over the counter, or whatever, or from people directly. Is there seems to be about a 20-year cycle because people will buy the timeshares like the recreation properties typically when their kids are younger and things are going, they love the vacation, they go out every year and they bring them out
Mhm.
there. And when the children get older, they have their own kids and their own family. That maybe the persons, the parents or whoever it is, the parents that originally bought the place, they're getting elderly, and then they don't know what to do with them because their kids have families now and they can't necessarily come out here. Well, they just sit there, and after a few years, which you might be finding out, Ann, people don't, you're not using them, and you're spending that money on maintenance every year. So that's the way though, but that's the way I get a lot of properties, recreation properties anyway from people because they're happy to give them to you because they don't know what to do with them anymore. And it still costs them for property, owner associations, homeowner associations, or maintenance fees in this case. So that's something that's a good way to get properties, but it's also something you got to keep in mind because once they're your properties, you got to do something with them.
Yeah, I know. That's where you're dealing with that right now. And a lot of times, you'll see offers out, but some of those are scams too. They say, oh, we'll buy it. That's got to be very careful about that. So yeah, just kind of wondering. So like you said, we can just talk a little bit later about it. Okay. Thanks, John.
Yeah, sure, Ann. Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up because that is a great subject. And, that's a big thing that a lot of us deal with.
Yep.
Mhm. All right. Anybody else have anything today? Any last minute comments, questions? I don't know, statements? Where are you going for lunch? I don't know. Well, you all have a good weekend. It's good seeing you. I'm glad you tuned in. We'll be here again next week. And if nothing else, we'll see you soon.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, John and Lloyd. Hope you get better.